Hi everybody, Lorina Quigley here, your mystical ex-Mormon, mediumship healers and psychic and just your all-around mystic. I'm also a teacher. Anyway, it's kind of the world I live in, is this mystical realm. Anyway, so today I wanted to talk about seeing spirits and what it's like and what we might see them and how we might see them and what form that looks like, because it can be many different forms, and also comes into like when you see auras and things like that on people. There's a similar quality to all of these things, and what realm are you seeing these things from, and how different they can all look, because it can look quite different depending on what's going on. So I made a little list. Anyway, so first of all, I wanted to start, and I've told this story before, so if you've heard this before, please forgive me. I'm telling it again. So when I first moved here to Phoenix, I used to be a hairstylist, and I was doing this woman's hair, this beautiful woman. It was the first time I was doing her hair. And it was a long service, highlights and haircut. So you're gonna be there for a while, and a blow dry. Full highlights. Anyway, some women might know exactly what I'm talking about. You're gonna be there a couple hours. Anyway, this woman had had a child that she lost in childbirth. So her child was stillborn. She almost died. Now, she didn't know I did any of this kind of work. I hadn't lived here that long. I kept a lot of this to myself. Hadn't started working in a community or groups who do mediumship. So, yeah. So I just kept it to myself. Even though I absolutely loved doing it. It just was one of those things. So I'm doing her hair. And every time she starts talking about this baby boy that she lost, that she never got to hold alive, I would see the spirit show up. This beautiful, beautiful spirit. Okay, I didn't see a baby, I saw a spirit. Incredible, one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, actually, as far as seeing spirits. But every time she talked about him, he would show up again, every single time. So the last time, so I'm probably getting ready to blow dry her hair. So she mentions him again, and he shows up, and so I finally went, oh my God, I have to say something. I can't keep this to myself. This is happening for a reason. Anyway, so I told her, I don't know if you know this about me. Well, you probably don't know this about me. I've been studying mediumship and practicing it for a couple of years. I think at that point, at least 3-4 years, something like that. I'm not sure. Anyway, so get back to the story. So I'm explaining this to her, and then I said, every time you talk about your son, he shows up. And what he wants you to know, first of all, I'm jumping ahead. First of all, he is this absolutely beautiful, beautiful spirit. And what I'm seeing is this being that is just a spirit, and it's stunning. There's a humanoid form in there that I can see, and it's him. So it's male, he's male, but there's this shimmering light just all around him, like his whole being is shimmering light, and there is a form in there, and it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. I said, what he wants you to know is that's who he is. He is this beautiful spirit that is not a baby, and he wants you to know that. So what you lost as a mother, and that experience of holding this alive baby, he wants you to know that that is not who he is, even though she had that experience, and it's so incredibly sad. I said, but this is who he is. He's a magnificent being. He's a powerful being. He is not what you think of him as. And he says, so he wanted her to think of him as this beautiful being, a magnificent being, not this little baby who never got to live its life, even though that's true too. Anyway, at some point we were both crying. It's like, because it was beautiful and sad. And he did say, like, tell her, I don't want her to be so sad. Now that's really difficult too. How do you, that takes years to heal, years and years. But that's what he wanted. He wanted her to not be so sad. And that message would be one of, not just of loss, that there's so much more to the story than that. And to see if you can think of him in this other way also. So it's not just a sad story. And she's done remarkable things around her loss as far as helping other women. So that they may not have that experience of losing their baby in childbirth. So she has done some incredible things with it. I guess to help heal or bring healing and help other women so that they don't experience the same thing. Anyway, so that's one way that spirits can look. They're not just ghosts or what we remember them, what our loved ones who are on the other side, what they used to look like. It can be they can look like other beings or other ways. And also, I have seen that one other time. I can't remember if I've seen it more than that, but it was a similar thing where I was working in a message circle. Well, actually, this was a platform, standing in front of a crowd and giving messages. And this woman, at first I was sitting next to her and I got up and was giving messages. But she had a child that she lost to SIDS, where an infant dies in the middle of the night in the crib death. They used to call it crib death. She had a very similar, what I saw was very similar, this being coming in, and I can't remember if it was a boy or a girl, but the same similar message of, this is who I really am. I'm not this baby that you lost. And wanting to bring comfort in giving that message that I am not just this infant who will not live this life. I am so much more. I am so much more than what we have experienced as far as loss, especially with loss when people die way too soon. Anyway, very similar, but it was the same thing. I saw the same kind of being, this absolutely beautiful, magnificent, powerful being. And it was the same thing. This is who I really am. This is who I really am. I am not that. So, and that's all of us. We are magnificent beings somewhere in here. We are magnificent, powerful, beautiful, magnificent beings. We forget that and disconnect from it. And it's hard to know that living life on earth. Anyway, yeah. And we do, and I want to say we have different versions of ourselves. We have parts of ourselves that have lived past lives that had a different personality that you might connect with. I've seen that. It's pretty interesting that I've had another part of me that was actually I've had several experiences. One was a future life, completely different. One was an inner earth being that lived on that lived in a different dimension that I'm connecting with, that is me, that actually is male and much more powerful than me now. It's like, oh man, I woke up out of this experience and it wasn't a lucid dream. Maybe it was part astral projection. I'm not sure. Because it's only happened once where I was connecting with the part of me that is a male, that is more powerful, living on in a different dimension here on Earth, that here, well, I don't know if it's exclusive to Earth, probably not, but having that sense of consciousness that this other dimensional being that is me, feeling that and knowing that, the self, that power that comes with living in a different dimension, a higher dimension, like unbelievable clarity and understanding and knowing. It's like, oh my God, I woke up out of that going, no, bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. That's what I want, because it was amazing. And again, that's part of who we are too. And we have different bodies too. We have our causal body, our astral body, our emotional body, our mental body. We are these things too. And it's kind of there's kind of a separation, or looking at, maybe we can just look at the causal body, we can just look at the emotional body or the mental body or the astral body, looking at all these different parts of ourselves and see different things and have different understandings. It's kind of confusing. And different schools of thoughts name it different things. So there's definitely some confusion around that. Also, I wanted to talk about when you do this kind of work, that you might run into doing psychopomp work. Now, what is psychopomp work? Psychopomp, which is such a weird name. I don't know where that name comes from or how that came to be, but psychopomp. So what psychopomp work is when you are connecting, perhaps in a circle or a class or a seance, doing mediumship, where you run into a spirit who actually is a lost spirit, who actually needs to leave and go to a different place, like a lost spirit. They're roaming around, they're kind of lost. They don't want to leave, that too. And sometimes that can show up looking like a ghost. I was doing a circle once. This was a class, it was a message circle. And we were doing, message work, giving messages to each other. And this woman I was suddenly connected to this woman who got shot in the head in a car. So she was murdered. And I don't know how long she'd been roaming around, kind of lost, trying to figure stuff out and not understanding. Anyway, and the teacher at that time, because I wasn't sure what to do, but it was a really interesting experience. So we called in the archangels to assist with taking the spirit to where it belongs, so that she doesn't feel lost anymore, that she can go find healing and go to the place where she belongs. So that these spirits who do that kind of work on the other side can help her find healing and understanding, because there was confusion there. She had a lot of confusion. And I think 2 weeks ago in one of my classes, we were giving some mediumship messages, and this woman, excuse me, she had an uncle coming in, and this uncle, and he had been dead for quite some time. This happened a while ago. I think it was over 20 years. Anyway, they had done a lot of work around healing and forgiveness, and you can leave, you can go to the other side. But he had actually stated to this woman that he wasn't leaving the kind of lower astral planes until everybody that he had harmed, that everyone that he had harmed had passed, so that he can help them, because he felt that haunted by some of the things that he did. So he felt like he could not leave. And she felt this incredible heaviness coming from this uncle who was on the other side. So I kept saying, so tell him to go to the other side, tell him to go to the other side. And I actually called in the archangels, and she did too. Call in the archangels, ask for help, tell him that he can leave. And I saw him being surrounded by this incredible golden white light, she saw the exact same thing, and he started going away. And what I heard was, tell him to go in peace. Tell him to go in peace, that he can leave now and go in peace. And that's what it looked like what happened. That is, I believe, is what happened. Anyway, it was a pretty amazing experience. And that heaviness left. Anyway, we both saw the exact same thing. So it was a really interesting experience. That's called being a psychopomp. Very interesting. You can also astral project and be a psychopomp from the other side while you're astral traveling and help people. There's a lot of accounts of that in a lot of books. So again, really, really interesting stuff when it comes to doing mediumship work, and you don't know what you're going to see. One time I did see a spirit. Now this was a spirit that looked, didn't even look like a spirit. I was hiking once with a bunch of friends, and this is during the day, and there was a Native American guy who was on a horse. It was a Palomino horse, and I don't even know how I knew that, because I don't know that much about horses, but it was a Palomino. I just knew it. Anyway, and he was sitting on the horse. He had like some sort of, I don't know if you'd call it a spear, but a long stick with, maybe some type of spear. There were feathers attached to it. He had some sort of feathers, but he had that kind of chest thing that they wear that has the thing across here. I don't know what that's called. Anyway, and he kept his distance, but he kept following us. He followed us for quite some time. Now, he looked as human as you do. The people who are listening to this, he looked as human as you do, and so did the horse. But I knew that no one else could see him. And now I didn't get information about why he was following us or what. And I would just look at him every once in a while and go, yeah, I know you're there. I see you. Anyway, but that's a spirit. That was a spirit. And he looked, so it's just a different way that spirits can show up. You just don't know how they're going to look. I also saw a spirit once standing when I was walking home. I lived in Brooklyn, Carroll Gardens in Brooklyn. I was walking home down on my street. It was President Street. No, that was First Place. I lived several times in the same neighborhood, several different places. This was on First Place. I was walking down First Place. Right there, they have these beautiful little gardens in front of the brownstones. There was a guy standing right there. Now, he looked a little more ghostly, but he also looked very human, too. So he was there, but kind of a little transparent, perhaps. Hard to describe. Anyway, I'm like, oh, yeah, look, there's a guy right there. Anyway, you just don't know. And then I had the experience where this woman in a seance, my first seance, looked absolutely 100% just like a ghost, exactly like you would see in the movies, walking up white, misty, shaped like a human, but I knew it was female, and she stopped right in front of me and put her head in my lap and started crying. My eyes were open. It was like, oh, I didn't know I could see ghosts like this. Now, I have seen things before this, but this is the first time I had seen a ghost that was like that, who was communicating with me. Pretty wild. And anyway, it's just really, really interesting, all the things that you can see and at what levels they're from and where they exist. And I think that we're constantly in different states of mind, so we will see different things. Like when you're sitting in a seance and you start seeing somebody's aura, you may see something that is in their astral field, in their astral body, or you might see something that is in their mental body, or their emotional body. It's hard to define all of these things. We want answers. We want to define everything, but it's just hard to do. But it's really a cool, fun experience to do. So anyway, I just wanted to share some of those things. And if you guys have some stories to share about what you might see, because it's just such a big field, an energetic field of what's out there, what we may see or can see, and where it comes from, what dimension, what plane. And And a lot of times when I see things like this, I just accept it as I'm just seeing this. What information is there? Does this being have something to share? What kind of information? And accept it instead of trying to delve into at that moment and get really mental about where they're from, what's going on. My mind is not usually working in that direction. Now, at some point, it might start working in more that direction, but you don't want to get too left-brained when you're doing this kind of work. But you do want to learn to ask questions at the same time, but not be too mental about it. So there's a delicate balance between both of those things. Yeah. Anyway, I hope you enjoy these stories. Hey, if you got any really cool, interesting stories about seeing beings, ghosts, and all of these things, please share them. Yeah. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.